Hey all, welcome back to Monday, welcome back to the channel, and of course it's countdown day here on the channel, and this is going to be a bit of an interesting one because we're sort of going to do a countdown and a half. This is going to be focusing on, and I'm so glad that we're at a point now in the history of the Transformers franchise where we can do this. A history that really has only sort of blossomed and flourished over the last 10 years or so. We're going to be looking at the top 10 versions of the First Lady of Transformers, Arcee. That's going to be our focus this time around in the latest GotBot Counts Down. Hey all, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, your most humble of hosts, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, man, please like, comment, share, of course, subscribe while you're at it, my baby. And hit that notification bell, please. It helps me out a ton and let you know when content of all sorts goes up here on the channel. Check out Machinery of Man, The Everything Factor, all the groups that I'm either a mod or an admin for, as well as all of my social media links. All of that in the description down below, also in the description down below. And if you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. You can check us out on Patreon. You can see what we have to offer to you through Spring. Or, of course, you can hit the join button right here on YouTube and become a channel member. Didn't know that, did you? See, I just taught you something new. So, this is the top 10 versions of Arcee. Now, a couple of people asked me while the voting was going on, do you mean in fiction or in plastic? And I said yes. Because, as always, I want people to interpret the question as they see fit. So I leave it sometimes deliberately sort of open-ended. What drives me nuts, though, is when people will list like 10 or 12. I mean, somebody said I had like, it was 29 or 30 Arcees, and they started to list them all. I'm like, that's not a vote. Or some people just sent me a bunch of pictures. That's not a vote. I don't know if people don't understand how voting works, but you pick one. That's how a vote works. You have all of these candidates, all of these options, and you pick the best one. I don't know how voting works in your nation or your country. Maybe you live in a nation where you don't vote. But for anybody who sees this, who does partake and participate weekly from Wednesday to Friday midnight with the voting, one. I only need one. I only need one name. I need the first name that pops to mind when you read the question. For me, I would read the question and I would say, best Arcee, thrilling 30. Boom, done. Like, that would be mine. But, of course, that's not the first version that comes to everyone's mind. That's why we do these lists. And that's why they are amassed based on fan votes. But we're going to kind of do a list and a half here. When this started, I said, I'm going to do it. This was a fan suggestion during, I think GotBot Goes Live, if I'm not mistaken, is where it came from. And I said, do we have enough versions of Arcee to even do a top 10? Have there been enough iterations of Arcee to do a top 10? I said, you know what, I'm going to leave it wide open, see what happens, and then I'll amass it from there. So we're going to first do the top 10, or sorry, the top 5. Instead of doing the honorable mentions, very quickly I'm going to do the top 5 versions of Arcee in fiction. Then we're going to do the top 10 versions of Arcee in plastic. So instead of doing honorable mentions, we're going to do a very brief top 5 of Arcees in fiction. Coming in at number 5 is Energon Arcee. A lot of people liked, I guess, like this kind of spunky nature of the Energon Arcee. I'm not super familiar with that character, but that was number 5. Number 4 is one of the versions of Arcee that probably has the wildest, weirdest, and probably in some instances saddest backstory. That would be the IDW Comics version of Arcee. I'm not a fan of her backstory. I'm not a fan of those comics we all know, but I know a lot of people are and feel like that's such a rich tapestry to her history that how can you deny that she has made an impact, certainly for a lot of people. So number 5 was Energon, number 4 was IDW, number 3, and I just need to look here, number 3 was actually the Cyberverse version. Again, she's tough, she's jovial, she's young, she's impetuous, but she can hold her own. I was shocked that the Cyberverse got as much love as it did, but she certainly did. So far, keeping track, Energon, this is for fiction, remember, Energon, IDW, Cyberverse, then it's Transformers Prime Arcee, That's number 2 because of her whole backstory. I mean, the losing partners, the having to find a way to believe and trust in Jack, her adversary being Arachnid, just, you know, always feeling like something was going to go wrong to finally opening up and being able to kind of trust again and be part of a team again. There was a lot of character growth with her, and I absolutely love it. And of course, number 1 fiction, by a huge margin, would have to be, naturally, G1 Arcee, because she's G1. She's the first one, you know? I know that we had that episode with Alita 1 and her team of rogues, if you will, but really, in terms of a character that was well known, that was really considered the first lady of Transformers, it would really have to go to Arcee. I think most people would agree. So, just as a quick recap, like I said, this was not at all the honorable mentions. We'll talk about them at the end, actually. This was, indeed, the top 5 for fiction. So we had Energon, we had IDW, we had Cyberverse, we had Transformers Prime, and we had G1. There you go. Now we're going to do what we normally do. We're going to get into the main countdown, the main meat of this list. The top 10 Arcees cast in plastic. Which one will take the top spot? This is third party. This is official. This is mainline. This is masterpiece. It's the whole thing, and we're going to kick things off with number 10 first. Coming in at number 10 is this version of Arcee. That's right, it is MP51. A lot of people said, well, Masterpiece is Masterpiece. Now, personally, I don't like Masterpiece. I find that they break. I'm not a big fan of the line on a whole. I've never been drawn to it myself, but a lot of people simply use that as the descriptor for why they would vote for her. She has to be on the list because she's a masterpiece. Okay, I get it. It's not about me. It's about the votes from you guys. I think that she got really creepy hands and fingers. I think her chest hangs too low. She's a gorgeous looking car. But enough fans feel like because she's a masterpiece, she had to be on the list, that who am I to argue? MP51 Arcee takes the number 10 slot. Number 9 was a little bit mind-boggling to me, and it kind of goes to show how people vote based on excitement rather than on actually knowing how good something is or how well something works, because number 9 is this. That's right, it's the Studio Series, the upcoming Studio Series 86 Arcee. I'm shocked she made the list. I get it to a degree, because it looks like it's taking the best parts of Earthrise, the best parts of the Thrilling 30, the best color scheme of probably the Takara Legends one, and sort of mashing them all together. It certainly has promise, I'll give it that. That being said, I don't like that the inner thigh is just all open and hollow. That kind of bugs me. I'm not sure how the car folded up on her back, how effective that'll be for the transformation. We'll have to wait and see. Is this going to be the best of all the Arcee worlds? I don't know, but enough fans are hyped high enough already just based on a couple of pictures that somehow, some way, an unproduced version of Arcee at this point has taken the number 9 slot. Go figure. Coming in at number 8, we have an iteration of Arcee that actually appeared on both lists for fiction and this one. Who knew that this one would be this popular? And it's this version. That's right, it is Cyberverse Arcee, and you know what? I looked at this version. Honestly, I think it's pretty beautiful. I think it's a fun, interesting transformation. I love the look of the various pinks. I love the way the face was kind of sculpted and painted. Her articulation is pretty great. The transformation is pretty great. Overall, she's fun and she's been received well. Some people have said that out of the entire line of the BAFs for McAdam, that she was the one that was given the biggest part of the budget. I don't know if that's true. I don't know where people are getting that information from. She's really good. She is a standout, and she's more than just a shell former, for sure. She actually incorporates parts into the vehicle, and I think that's something that is a real credit to her and a real mark in her favor. Cyberverse Arcee. She kind of came in like a dark horse and became very popular very quickly with enough fans that she was able to take the number 8 slot. Number 7 takes us to the world of third party, and this. MMC's Azalea. For a lot of people, Azalea stood as their mainline Arcee for a long time. She was gorgeous. She still is. I have the Salvia Promenon version of that mold. Kind of their version of Solus Prime. If I'm not mistaken, I think that's the same one. Think. Like, if I'm not mistaken, I think Azalea was used for Arcee. I think it was just kind of used with a couple of like different little bits and a different transformation for Alita 1, for the Paradron Medic Lifeline, and of course for Salvia Promenon. I love the mold. I think it's fun. I think the articulation is very functional. It looks the part. It feels the part. It doesn't have a ton of kibble. Like, everything kind of compacts and folds up well. You know what? MMC's Azalea. One of the first that could fill a mainline version of Arcee, and still to this day, I would argue, one of the better versions of Arcee. Enough fans feel the same way that MMC was able to take the number 7 slot. Number 6 takes us to a version of Arcee that honestly I thought was going to be higher on the list. It's not, but maybe it should be, and it's this. That's right, coming to us from Takara, it is the Legends Arcee. And I said that I thought that you would probably be higher because a lot of people would say that, like, you know, up to this point with what's released in terms of a mainline Arcee, the Thrilling 30 iteration, that Generations iteration, is probably the best we got. But better than that would be the Takara Legends, simply because the color scheme is better. It is more accurate to the animation. I get it. She was, and probably always will be a tremendous version of Arcee. Could she get replaced by the upcoming Studio Series 86? Maybe, but there will be those die-hard, hardcore fans that are always going to say that Takara knocked it out of the ballpark with their Legends Arcee, and I'm even one of those fans. I agree with the voters. I'm surprised she didn't get more, but as it stands, the Takara Legends Arcee took the number 6 slot. And here we are, at the most coveted of locations, the halfway mark. And at the halfway mark, we have one of my favorite versions of Arcee. In fact, I like her because I kind of have a personal tie to her, in a way. And it's this version. That's right, it is everybody's favorite teaching unit. It is Animated Arcee. She became, of course, an intelligence officer later on. I, not too long ago, reviewed the Animated Arcee, and you know what? She's fun. She has a very... Her articulation could have been a little bit better, but man, her look is great, her size is great, the plastic is tremendous, she has heft, and her transformation is wonderful. I really, really enjoyed it. Her size is good. I don't know. I find more than loving her, I find I appreciate her. I find I respect her. Like, that's what I feel like when I have that Arcee in hand. Animated was wonderful. She had such a great characterization. And honestly, I think that a lot of the things that made her wonderful in the fiction overflowed into her plastic representation. She is fun to transform. She's fun to handle. She's fun to pose. She's just fun. Plus, she's a teacher. Speaks to my own heart. And she took the number 5 slot. Top 4, baby. And at number 4, I never expected this one to even rank on the list, let alone this high. And it's this version. That's right, the Titans Return Arcee. If I'm not mistaken, I think she was an exclusive. I think she also came with the die-cast Ultra Magnus head, I believe. And she was a blur mold, reused the Titans Return blur, and she had Linead, Daniel backwards, as her head unit. A lot of people picked this one because they said, look, in G1, based on the rebirth, based on the end of North America, she kind of ends her run in fiction as a headmaster. So it's nice to have a headmaster version of her. Plus, the blur mold is a fun mold. It is highly stylized for Arcee. I could see why they did what they did. There's certainly some nods, I think, in this one to animated. That's what I get the feeling of, even though she's a G1 inspired version. There's definitely some, I guess because she's a little more bulky, not quite as feminine, and because her alt mode isn't like her traditional alt mode, there's just some nods there that I feel for Cyberverse, some nods there that I feel for animated. She's not strictly G1, but she is the only version of Arcee that we currently have who is a functional headmaster. In other words, she's the only version of Arcee that really homages the way she is in the Rebirth. Something to be said for that, and enough fans felt that that was an important enough feature that she was able to take the number 4 slot. Here we are at number 3, and I'm not going to lie, this one sort of baffles me a little bit. Yup, Earthrise Arcee. Did anybody see that coming at number 3? Not me. But the people that voted for her said, look, currently she's the best G1 version we have. She looks accurate. She was at mainline retail. She has all the articulation, really, that you could want. And she turns into a car. Although, I don't know if scrunching up underneath her backpack is really turning into a car. And some people said, look, if you want, you can take the whole car off. You can get an add-on kit. You can just leave the robot the way it is, and you can make the car its own thing. I suppose you could do that if that's what you want to do. I see the arguments for it, and even I have said that for as much kind of shade as she gets thrown at her, functionally, based on the way she's designed, she works very well. I mean, the articulation is there, and mostly functional. She stands pretty great. I can't argue with that. Even her transformation works the way it's supposed to. Now, whether that's a good design or not is a different story. And in terms of the look, she's mostly accurate. I would argue that her face should have a pink hue over it and her lips should be red, but I mean, what do I know, right? Anyway, you cut it, enough fans made a compelling argument that Earthrise Arcee was able to take the number 3 slot. We're at the top 2, and at number 2 is one of everybody's favorites, and it is this. That's right, it's not only Transformers Prime Arcee, it is Transformers Prime First Edition Arcee. I've never ever held it, I've never experienced it, I know nothing about it, but I know 2 things. 1, I know that fans absolutely adore it. And 2, I know that the motorcycle and the robot both look like they jumped off the screen. She looks perfect. I've seen the Robots in Disguise one and the Beast Hunters one, and like they're really good iterations as well. But I feel like for anybody who wants a true blue iteration of Transformers Prime Arcee, you probably want to try and get the first edition. It is near on perfect. Take that for what you will. Enough fans felt that way that the Transformers Prime First Edition Arcee was able to take the number 2 slot. And here we are at number 1. Number one is, to me, no surprise. I sort of expected it, but there were a lot of diverse reasons given for why people voted for this one. And number 1 is this. That's right, it's the Generations Thrilling 30 Arcee. And there were a number of reasons given. First, she was like the first G1 inspired, we'll say, G1 stand-in of Arcee that was ever released. Up until that point, people used different iterations of Arcee as their Arcee, like the animated. Stood in a lot of people's collection as their Arcee for a long time. Or some like kind of third-party offerings, but this was the first kind of official one. She was also widely available. A lot more available the world over than the Takara one was, so she was easier to obtain. She was much cheaper than the Takara one as well, considering import fees and whatnot. Granted, her coloration was admittedly somewhat off, but G1 fans looked at it and said, you know what, slightly stylized coloration, but man, come on. Look at it, look at the face, look at the silhouette of the body, look at the vehicle, it's Arcee. Equally, fans of the comics, especially IDW fans, were able to say the same thing and said, wow, this is our Arcee, man. And even some of us that love the G1 looked at this one and said, you know what? With the touches of black, she looks a little more updated, a little more strong, a little more menacing, a little more foreboding. She's not kind of the, helpless girl victim. She is tough, rugged, and ready to rumble. And you know what? I was one of the people that felt the same way. I love the Takara Legends one, but there's something about the Generations one that just kind of spoke to me a little bit more, even though she was stylized. Up to this point, as of this recording, the Studio Series 86 has not been released, and enough people still feel that that original Thrilling 30 is the quintessential plastic representation of Arcee, whether they voted for her or a few people voted for the platinum version that came in that box set. I would say the platinum version is probably the best of them all, to be honest with you. Anyway, you cut it. Thrilling 30 Generations Arcee easily by far took the #1 slot. And there you have it, man. We've gone from 10 down to 1 once again. And like I said, we done kind of a countdown and a half. In terms of honorable mentions, if you will, the ones that would have made the list with just a little bit more of a push would have been the Transformers Prime Robots in Disguise version of Arcee. She got votes. Fans Toys Rouge got votes, though a lot of people call her Rogue. The Big Firebird Nicey with the alternate head got a couple of votes. The Energon Arcee got some votes. The Bumblebee movie Arcee, the Studio Series one, was almost there, almost ranked, just was barely beat out by the masterpiece MP51. What else do we have? The 07 movie got a couple of votes, and the SDCC Combiner Hunters, kind of black and pink repaint of the Generations Arcee, also got some votes. Beyond that, other ones that got votes was the pink Transformers Prime Arcee that was a New York Comic Con exclusive. What else do we have here? The Prime 1 Studios Arcee, the Beast Hunters Arcee, the APC Angel Engine, gorgeous version of Transformers Prime Arcee, got a vote. Legacy Prime Universe Arcee got 1 vote. Platinum Arcee, she got a couple of votes. I sort of lumped her in with the Thrilling 30 there at the top, though. This is one that you're going to want to look up. It's worth it. She's gorgeous. It is the Transformers Go G22 Prime Arcee. A lot of black on her, but man, does she look gorgeous. And finally, the upsized KO of the Thrilling 30 Arcee. Some people use that upsized KO as almost like a masterpiece version of Arcee. I think she was more Voyager scaled, and I think she had more pink arms than white arms, if I'm not mistaken. All of those, who knew there were that many Arcees? I'm so happy that she has finally, in the last decade, really gotten so many wonderful, wonderful representations, because she is such a classic character. She absolutely deserved it. Let me know who your favorite version of Arcee is. Did it make the list? Did it even get a vote? I appreciate. Oh, Delicate Warrior also got a vote. Shout out to Delicate Warrior. I appreciate you guys coming by, giving me some of your extremely valuable time. I do know how important it is to you. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. Check us out on Spring. See what we have to offer to you through... So I messed that up. I appreciate you guys coming by, giving me some of your extremely valuable time. I do know how important it is to you. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. Check us out on Patreon. See what we have to offer to you through Spring. And you can always hit that join button and become a channel member right here on YouTube. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Stick around, have some fun with us. Also, don't forget, the most important thing I can say to you, that somehow, some way, each and every day, you do make a difference. And I look forward to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit, either in the live streams on Thursday nights, at the stop motion premieres, or the old-fashioned way, right here, inside the videos.